Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the spine-chilling world of horror movies. Ever wondered why characters always make the worst decisions? We're about to break down the top 10 deadly mistakes you should avoid if you ever find yourself in a horror movie. Trust me, this knowledge might just save your life. Alright, horror fans, let's talk about the cardinal sin of horror movies, splitting up. The group stumbles upon a creepy cabin in the woods, and what's the first thing they do? That's right, they decide to split up. The moment you stray from the group, you become an easy target. Remember that scene in Friday the 13th, when they split up to find the source of a noise, only to be picked off one by Jason? There's strength in numbers. If you're facing a terrifying threat, wouldn't you feel safer with a group of people watching your back? So the next time you find yourself in a horror movie scenario, remember the golden rule: stick together like glue. Let's face it, horror movies thrive on our morbid curiosity, that eerie whisper coming from the basement. Our natural instinct is to investigate, but in the world of horror, curiosity often leads to a one-way ticket to the morgue. A mysterious noise in the attic? Better go check it out alone, armed with nothing but a flickering candle. Think about it. How many times have you seen a character slowly creep towards a suspicious noise, only to find themselves face to face with pure terror? Instead of investigating, why not just turn on all the lights, grab a weapon, and call the cops? Trust me, your curiosity can wait. You know that feeling you get when you walk into a place and just know something's not right? It's like an invisible hand gripping your heart, whispering that you should turn back. That's your gut instinct screaming at you to turn around and run. It's a primal reaction, a survival mechanism honed over millennia. In horror movies, these gut feelings are often accompanied by actual warnings from creepy townsfolk or eerie messages scrawled on walls. It's like the universe is throwing up red flags, trying to get the characters to pay attention. But do the characters listen? Nope. They ignore the warnings, thinking they're just superstitions or old wives' tales. They brush it off like it's nothing, laughing it away as if they're invincible. They think, that won't happen to me. Think about those classic haunted house stories, the ones where the new family moves into a grand old mansion thinking they've found their dream home. The new family moves in, oblivious to the dark history, and BAM! They're suddenly thrust into a nightmare. They're greeted by cold spots, disembodied voices, and maybe even a ghostly apparition or two. The signs were there all along, but they chose to ignore them. So the next time a creepy old lady with glowing eyes warns you not to go into the woods, listen to her. She knows more than she's letting on. Or if you stumble upon a dusty old book that tells you to beware all ye who enter, take the hint. These warnings are there for a reason. Remember, the universe has a funny way of sending us signs. Sometimes they're subtle, and other times they're glaringly obvious. In horror movies, those signs are usually screaming, "Get out while you still can." So, heed the warnings, trust your instincts, and when they tell you to get out, get out. Picture this. You're being chased by a relentless killer. Your heart is racing, your lungs are burning, and you desperately need to find an escape route. So, what do? Do you A, make a break for the nearest exit, or B, sprint upstairs and trap yourself in a dead end? If you answered B, congratulations. You've just earned yourself a starring role in a horror movie as the victim. Think about it. Upstairs rooms often have limited escape options. You've essentially trapped yourself in a confined space with a homicidal maniac hot on your heels. So the next time you find yourself in a life or death chase scene, remember this: running upstairs is a trap. Instead, channel your inner track star and bolt for the nearest exit. Here's a hard truth. In horror movies, villains have a nasty habit of refusing to stay dead. You'd think a few stab wounds, a shotgun blast to the chest, or even a plunge from a ridiculously high cliff would do the trick, but nope, they always seem to find a way to come back for one last scare. And you know what really grinds my gears? When the characters have the chance to finish the job, to make sure the threat is truly neutralized, and they just don't. So, here's a free tip for all you aspiring horror movie survivors. Double tap, make sure the threat is neutralized. Remember, in the world of horror, it's always better to be safe than sorry. You know that moment in a horror movie when a character finally gets their hands on a weapon? It's like a beacon of hope, a symbol of empowerment in the face of pure terror. And then, just when you think they're about to turn the tables on the killer, they drop the weapon and run away. Seriously, what is with that? A weapon is only as good as the person wielding it. And if you're just going to drop it at the first sign of trouble, you're better off without it. So here's a simple rule to live by. If you find yourself holding a weapon in a horror movie, for the love of all that is holy, hold on to it. Remember, in the game of survival, every second counts, and every weapon could be the difference between life and death. In the twisted world of horror, trust is a luxury you can't afford. It's like offering a vampire a glass of your blood. You're just asking for trouble. And yet, time and time again, we see characters falling head over heels for the charming stranger, the helpful neighbor, the seemingly innocent bystander, that friendly face hiding a sinister secret, the helpful hand that leads you straight into a trap. Yeah, that's Horror Movie 101, folks. So here's a piece of advice. Trust no one. That charming stranger, probably a psychopath, the overly helpful neighbor, they might be burying bodies in their backyard. Remember, in the realm of horror, everyone is a suspect until proven otherwise. Keep your guard up, question everything, and don't let your trust be earned easily. You know what's scarier than a masked killer on the loose? The fact that characters in horror movies rarely seem to believe in calling for help. Seriously, why is it so hard for these people to pick up a phone and dial 911? They experience strange occurrences, find creepy messages, maybe even witness a friend getting dragged off into the darkness. And what do? They shrug it off, try to rationalize it, or even worse, decide to investigate themselves. So, the next time you find yourself in a creepy situation, remember this. When in doubt, call the cops. It's better to have them show up and tell you you're being paranoid than to become the killer's next victim. You know that spine-chilling moment when the phone rings in a horror movie and you just know it's bad news? The tension builds, your heart races, and you can't help but feel a sense of dread. The eerie silence on the other end, the raspy voice whispering threats, the sudden hang-up followed by a chilling realization. It's like the phone itself becomes a harbinger of doom, a portal to the unknown. But here's the thing. Phones in horror movies are like double-edged swords. They can be both a blessing and a curse, a tool for salvation or a device of despair. On one hand, they can be lifelines, a way to call for help or warn others of impending danger. A quick dial to 911 or a frantic call to a friend can mean the difference between life and death. On the other hand, they can be tools of terror used by the killer to taunt their victims or lure them into deadly traps. The phone becomes a weapon, a means to instill fear and manipulate. When characters receive creepy phone calls warning them of danger or revealing sinister secrets and they just ignore them, it's baffling, isn't it? You want to scream at the screen, take it seriously. It's like they think the rules of common sense don't apply when you're dealing with a supernatural stalker. They dismiss the warnings thinking it's just a prank or their imagination running wild. So here's a simple rule to follow. If you receive a creepy phone call in a horror movie, trust your gut. Your instincts are there for a reason, and ignoring them can lead to dire consequences. If something feels off, if the voice on the other end sends shivers down your spine, hang up, don't second guess yourself. Sometimes survival hinges on the simplest actions. You know that moment in a horror movie when a character realizes they've left something behind in a dangerous place? It's that heart-stopping instant when they freeze, eyes wide, and you just know they're about to make a terrible decision. Their keys, their phone, maybe even something as trivial as a wallet or a piece of jewelry. Their sanity, it's always something important, and it always sends them on a perilous journey back into the lion's den. You can almost hear the audience collectively screaming, "Don't go back!" Look, I get it, forgetting something important is frustrating. It's that nagging feeling that you can't shake off, the thought that you need that item to feel complete or safe, but in the grand scheme of things, is it really worth risking your life over? Think about it. Is that momentary relief worth the potential danger lurking in the shadows? Is that phone charger really more valuable than your safety? Or that forgotten piece of clothing, is it worth the risk of encountering something sinister? Is that forgotten jacket worth encountering a vengeful spirit? Probably not. The stakes are too high, and the consequences could be dire. So here's a simple rule to live by. If you've managed to escape a terrifying situation, don't go back. Leave your belongings behind, cut your losses and prioritize your safety above all else. And run for the hills. Your life is far more precious than any material possession you might have left behind. Remember, in the world of horror, sometimes the bravest and smartest thing you can do is to simply walk away and never look back. It's not about what you leave behind, but about ensuring you have a future to look forward to. And there you have it, the top 10 mistakes to avoid if you ever find yourself in a horror movie. Remember, staying safe is all about making smart decisions, keeping your wits about you, and knowing when to run like hell. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-tingling content. Stay safe out there, and thanks for watching.